Lesson 9.3 is going to involve simplifying rational expressions. Basically, a couple ideas, two ideas. First, we're going to factor the numerator and denominator as far as possible. Then we're going to be able to cancel terms out, cancel factors out. We can cancel vertically or diagonally. We'll speak about that in a moment. Look at number 1 with 6 over 14, just to remind you, it's like an old problem just with fractions. If I just gave you the fraction 6 over 14, you could reduce that. You could divide the top and the bottom by 2. And of course, we would get 3 all over 7. X squared down below is really a product of two x's, and I hope you can see that one x on top would cancel with one x down below, leaving us with an x in the denominator. We would have 3 over 7x. Very similarly, for number 2, we have a fraction of 9 over 12. Well, we could divide the top and the bottom by 3, reducing that. And of course, calculators can reduce fractions for us as well. But it's very important for us to note that the x will not cancel up on top with an x down below. We have parentheses around that x plus 1. If we were to divide out an x from the top and the bottom, we would actually break the order of operations. We always have to do what's inside parentheses first before we would deal with a division. All right, well, continuing on, number 3 and number 4 are far more typical. X squared minus 16, looking at the top, this would factor into x plus 4 and x minus 4. Down below, for this expression, we know that we'd have to add to a negative 3. We'd have to multiply to negative 28. What numbers are going to allow us to do that? Well, plain and simply, we would need a 7 and a 4 more than likely. And checking in that nose and mouth, you can see that a 7x and a 4x could add to negative 3 if you made your 7 a negative, if you made your 4 a positive. Then negative 7 times 4 would be negative 28. We could cancel out the x plus 4 factors, and then leaving us with a final answer of x minus 4 all over x minus 7. Taking a look at number 4, the top can factor into x plus 5, x minus 5. Down below, needing to add to 13, needing to multiply to 40. If you were to give it a moment's thought, I hope you would think of multiplying 5 and 8, keeping everything positive. Once again, notice that we could cancel. This time we're canceling vertically with the x plus 5 literally on top of the other x plus 5. Notice in the previous problem you could consider that a little diagonal canceling, but you will always have the same exact factor up on top and one down below. What's your final answer? Well, x minus 5 over x plus 8. Well, let's keep going. For number 5, there's nothing to deal with these x plus 2, but down below I could factor out a 3. And look at that, we're going to be left with an x plus 2. Now, I could put parentheses up on top. There are always understood parentheses. There's also an understood 1 out in front of any parentheses. The x plus 2's would wipe out. And look at this problem. Very notably, you would be left with just a fraction, no x's remaining. For number 6, 2x squared plus 8x. Up on top, I could pull out a 2, pull out an x, divide out a 2 and an x from both. Down below we'll have our 12x. Hopefully you can see where we're going with this. The x's cancel out. 2 divides into 12 6 times. That's going to leave us with x plus 4 all over 6. On the back side, real quickly, multiplying. Well, what we're going to do is we could multiply top to top, bottom to bottom. But take a look at number 3 with me. I'm going to say 3 divides into 6 twice. 7 divides into 14 twice. X cubed is really 3 x's multiplied in succession. 1 x up on top cancels with 1 down below. This x up on top cancels with an x down below. Look, it appears that there's nothing up on top, but there's really a 1. 2 times 2 is a 4. Then we have an x down below as well. Number 8 is actually far more typical of what we'll be seeing. Look, 4x minus 12 down below. Is there something I could factor out? Take out the greatest common factor. That would be dividing out a 4. So you have 4 times x minus 3. Look up on top. X squared minus 9 leaves us with x plus 3, x minus 3. Down below we have an x. And my goodness, look right now. The x minus 3's cancel out. This x and this x cancel out. What are we left with? Well, up on top we have a 3, then an x plus 3. Down below, what do we have left? Just a 4. So 3 times x plus 3 all over 4, we don't even need to distribute. Okay, wrapping things up, the last 2 problems. Let's change number 9 to x minus 2 before we even begin the problem. Let's very quickly take a look at this denominator down below. X squared minus 5x plus 6. We're going to have to add to negative 5. We're going to have to multiply to a 6. Why not try a 3 and a 2? And we can do that. Giving a moment's thought, needing to multiply to a positive but add to a negative, you might make both of those negatives. That's the way it's going to work. Look, and then 3 times x minus 2. This x minus 2 and this x minus 2 are going to cancel, leaving us with a final answer of 3x up on top. Down below we have x minus 3. We can't cancel out the x's. There are some understood parentheses down here. Last one. This is the one that maybe surprises kids the most. It's that top right denominator here, 4 minus 2x. Let's rewrite it as negative 2x plus 4 all over x squared. It's going to look quite a bit nicer when we do that. And then factor. Look, down below I'm going to pull out a 3. I'll have x minus 2. And by the way, just as a helpful hint here, whenever we see an x minus 2 down below, it's very likely another x minus 2 can show up, so be on the lookout for that. Look at the top, this negative 2x plus 4. I will factor out a negative 2. I'm going to divide out a negative 2 from everything. 4 divided by negative 2 is minus 2 itself. Look what happens. The x minus 2's are going to cancel out. X squared, well, you know what? That's really an x times an x. And I think we can see very quickly that the x on top will cancel with an x down below. Realize that the 2 and the negative 2 multiply together to get you negative 4. Down below we have a 3x. You can't cancel horizontally. That's what we saw at the top page of the notes. If you have 2 of the same factor up on top in the numerators, they don't get canceled out. The only way you can cancel is if one factor is up on top, one factor is down below. Well, the homework that we're going to be doing is right here, page 483, 485, 32 through 36 the evens, and then 40 through 48 the evens. Good luck with this, and we'll pick this up after spring break.